Hi everyone, it's Nick here from Noterro. Today I'm going to take you on a tour of our software. We're going to look at some of the features such as scheduling, notes, billing or online booking, or the web portal. So let's begin and take a look at where we are now. So we are on the dashboard, and on the dashboard you can see this setup checklist. So if you are new to Noterro, we will help you set up your account to make sure you've set it up effectively and efficiently. We also keep track at a high level of today's appointments. This is a practitioner with some of their appointments. And we also keep track of forms and agreements. So any forms or agreements that you send out, we will keep track of any incomplete forms and agreements. In the bottom left corner, we have online booking registration. So anyone who's gone to your web portal, as an example, and they book for the first time, we will keep track of anyone who's new. Membership and packages, so any recurring billing for memberships and unpaid invoices. Again, we will display those unpaid invoices on the dashboard. And then the last section is your draft clinical notes. So these are all practitioners and these are all notes that they've started but they have not completed them. So that's the dashboard. So let's go ahead and take a look at the calendar, which is our next icon over to the left. And we are loading the calendar, which is considered active view. Because this is a multi-practitioner clinic, we will load anyone's calendar that has an event of some type on the calendar. It could be either an availability, so the blue represents an available time that someone can book into your calendar, or they have to have an appointment or a break. And in this case, Nick Gaines has 2 appointments. So we can change it from active, and we can change it to, click on this and we can change it to everyone as an example. So all calendars will show, or we can explicitly turn on 2 calendars if we want to. And we can also view this on week view. So we can turn this into week view, and we can see that today's the 26th, and so the 26th is highlighted. So we have some ability to navigate our practitioners' calendars. If we move up one, we have multi-location. And so I have all locations turned on because this is a multi-location clinic. I can explicitly just turn on one location if I want to. And you can see that some of the events are removed, that being the availabilities, because they're not at the multi-location. So I'll just toggle back onto all locations. And in the top here, we have a calendar that you can navigate. And if you need more room to display your practitioners, you can collapse your calendar. And so now I have quite a bit of room to display all my practitioners if I need to. If I go down a bit further here on the left, we have wait lists. And so I can add someone to my wait list if I want to. And I just go through this form and fill this form out to add someone to my wait list. I can show wait lists, and so these are people who've matched up to the wait list. So you have to have available time on your calendar. And I can either, so in this case right here, so this block, the 28th, I can click on notify. It'll notify everyone on both these practitioners waitlists, or I can notify just this practitioner's waitlist, or I can just notify individually. So you have some flexibility there as well. And this is just managing your schedule. So if you need to put another more time on your calendar, and as an example, you want to put another shift, you can just click manage schedule, click and drag, and then I could add this one shift, or I can repeat it. I can just simply add it and then toggle back to the calendar. So this is what is in the sidebar. And if I come across the top, we have a quick jump ahead, so you're not counting. So if I expose that calendar again for you, so I have this calendar, and instead of trying to count, if someone said, what do you have in 5 weeks from now, and you're trying to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and trying to figure out where you are, especially when the months cross over or flip over, you can just use this feature right here, and it will jump ahead a number of weeks to find available time on your calendar. Or we do have this find a time feature where you can search by locations or a specific service, and as you're selecting the location or the services, it'll put the practitioners here. You can select the practitioners and step through this if you need to find a time. So that's also another feature. This is day, week, month. And then we also have a privacy mode and a double booking mode, and there's a print function in here. So that's the basic features of the calendar. Specifically now we have appointments on here. These appointments can be moved around, provided of course the therapist does provide the service. In this case, I'm not going to change the appointment, so it's asking me to confirm any changes. So James has been booked in to the calendar, so as you can see that I can move him around. I can drag, I can extend the appointment if I want to. And again, I don't want to notify the client that I've confirmed, that I've extended the appointment. And so I have the ability to extend the appointment if I want. Or I can just click on the appointment itself, and I can edit the appointment, and I can also extend it that way. Okay, so coming back to the appointment itself, I'll click on it, and there's just some information. So this is a label that we put on James, and so you can use labels within the system if you want to segment out your list, or you want to group your patient or client list using labels. And this is just indicating that James happens to be an insurance client or patient in this case. He's got a balance of $10 and he has nothing on credit. I can show more details. This is insurance eligible, so he does have insurance policies. So if I click more information here, I can see the policies that he has on file. It also gives me some information, for example, his phone number and his email information, so I can hide that. If I look at these details right here, this is the appointment that he's booked in for initial visit. This is the therapist he's booked in, and then it just gives you some of the details of the appointment. If he does call in to confirm it, I can mark it as confirmed or arrived. I have the ability to add an invoice directly from the appointment, and I can also add a clinical note by just clicking Add Clinical Note. These are templates, so within Noterro you can create as many customizable note templates. And so in this clinic I have something called a new form or a prescription or a daily clinical note. If I had a previous finalized note, I can also duplicate from a previous finalized note. So I'll just click New Form, and this is in draft. So I have an invoice that's unpaid and a note that's on draft. I can also add a form from here. So again, customizable. So the clinical notes are forms that I use internally. A form here is something that I would be sending out externally to a client or a patient. So for example, if I click Add Form, I just can select my drop down and I can, for example, send them a physiotherapy. These are agreements. So this is the form itself. These are agreements that are attached to the form, and I can email it to James if I want to, and just click Add Form. And now the form is incomplete and it indicates that it's not open. Okay, and I can also view any of the forms, all the forms that James has on file. And then this is just an email reminder when it was sent out, a phone reminder when it's scheduled to be sent out, and a history. Any changes that are made to the appointment will be captured here, as well as it shows any upcoming appointments. And I can edit this appointment if I want, and so there's some ability to edit the appointment. So that's the appointment itself. Adding appointment is fairly easy. So it's either searching the person's name, so I can just click and select the letter K as an example, or I can search by phone number or email. In this case, I just put K, and I'll just put Ken in here. This is a warning or an alert to indicate that he has a membership. And again, you can also use alerts for anything that you want. This is for the therapy, so I can select any of the therapy that this practitioner performs. So maybe it's initial chiro. This is going to give the time based on, this is the 60 minutes represent the appointment time, and this represents the recovery time. I can repeat it out, and these are the notifications that are going to go out. And if I click book an email, it's going to send him the details of the appointment. So it will just send him the details. So if I click back on this, we get a similar view that we had. So booking an appointment is quite easy. Moving the appointments around are fairly simple. So that's the basics of the calendar. So it functions much like many other calendars. We can take a look at the notes and the billing specifically. So we're going to go into the notes first, and then I'm going to step you through the profile after looking at a note. So if I'm clicking on Ken again, actually I'll go to James because I did create that clinical note for him. So we have the invoice, and we'll come back to James. We'll take a look at it from a billing perspective and the different ways that you can create an invoice. It's the simplest way is to create it through the appointment. So we'll click on clinical note because I did use a note template, and I land on this clinical note template. And if I've selected the wrong template, I can come up to this drop down here and I can change the note template, but this is the note template that I wanted to use, and I can step through the notes. And so there's a number of fields that I can use, and in this note template we're specifically using a widget that I've selected that is included with the customization that you can use. And so there's a lot of functionality within this note template that you can do. So there's other videos on giving more information on how to create notes, but this is just at a high level view. I can go back to the notes. So I'm just going back to the notes as an example. And so I'm now on James's profile, and this is the note tab, and it's just shown that he has one note in draft form. The access is for author only, so he's the only one who can see it. He has not sent a follow-up, and there's an invoice and appointment that is associated to this note. So let's go, we'll start at the top and I'll work my way through the profile information. And so we'll take a look at the snapshot section here. The snapshot section has to do with top level information that they may be filling out from a form. So for example, I can click on form. So I have sent him an intake form, physiotherapy intake to be exact, and this is what he's answered. So this is not the complete form. So if I want to see the complete form, I can see the complete form. And so he's answered some questions. And so is your pain on and off? And he's selected on and off. So this was the question, and this is how he's answered, is your pain? And he's selected staying the same. So these are the questions, and I can move this data over to what's called the snapshot section. So if I thought this is something I wanted to track, I can just click this plus symbol, and what it's going to do, I'll close this now. What it's going to do is it's going to move it into this snapshot section. And there's a lot you can do with the snapshot. You can track any historical changes. You can add content to here, or when you're creating your forms, you can have questions designated as auto snapshot. So you don't even have to go find the information in this review form. You can have your questions explicitly say auto snapshot, and it'll automatically populate the information into this section. And you can track all the changes that you made. So for example, if he comes in and he said, for how long have you experienced a problem, and he put years, I can update this information if I wanted to, and maybe he made a mistake in this case, and maybe it was supposed to be months as an example. And so I can update this information to months and save it, and you'll see that it's changed. And if I click on this, you'll see historical changes have been made. And you can see who's made the changes. So there's a lot you can do with this. You can add information. So if they fill out a health history form and they forgot to put information in, you could also add that information. So this is what this section here is, the snapshot. Next is the appointments. And so we know that he's had a past appointment, and he has 2 upcoming appointments. Sometimes a client or patient will say, I forget when my appointments are. You can just come here and you can click email, and it'll send them a list of their upcoming appointments. Next is the billing section. So we have created an invoice, and so you can see, again, at a very quick glance, you can see that he owes $115. He has an insurance balance of $90, and he has no money on account credit. I know these 2 invoices are insurance invoices because we break up the balances, and this invoice is just a cash invoice, and so he owes the full amount. Next is an insurance section, and so if you are using insurance, we track insurance from start to finish, adding policies and following the life cycle of a claim. These are the policies that are associated to this profile. Package and memberships. James doesn't have any package or memberships, but I could add any new package or memberships that I have within my clinic to select for James. Clinical notes, we already have taken a look at the clinical notes. The next section down are the form section. And these are forms that I have sent out to James. If you recall from the appointment, we sent out a form and it's incomplete. So he has an opened yet and he has not completed it. These are the agreements that are associated to forms. These are links on the forms, and so this one is complete. If I click on the drop down as an example, I can print, preview, or download that form itself. Next are the agreements. So these are the forms and these are the agreements, and you can see he hasn't agreed to this online booking because it was associated to the form that he hasn't completed yet, but he's agreed to our cancellation policy and our payment policy, and we display the time the time and date that he has agreed to this. And so if anyone ever comes back to you and says I didn't agree to the cancellation policy, you do have that information. User accounts are required in order to access the web portal or to book online, and I'll show you that as well in a minute. Credit cards. In this case, we're using Square as our payment processor. You can add Square. So what it does is it stores a credit card within Square and it maps it to back to their profile in Noterro. So Noterro does not store credit card information. Next is file uploads. And if you had additional information, this is not notes. This is additional information to store within their profile. So such as an MRI report or X-ray report, or some people what they'll use it for are before and after photos if they're doing postural work. So any additional information that you want to add, you can add it here. Next, discounts, any discounts associated. So you can create discounts within your Noterro account and explicitly put a discount or attach a discount onto the profile, and when you create an invoice, it will automatically apply that discount. And there's some general information about James, and then last is notification logs. So any information that we're sending out, you can see if it's been sent, if it's been bounced back, or error failed to send. It failed to send because this was an improperly constructed number as an example. So we will keep track of the notifications that have been sent out based on the last 12 months. So if someone says, I didn't get my notification, you can always come to the notification logs and verify if they did or did not receive their notification. So this is where you can also come to see if it has been sent. Next, we're going to take a look. So that's the patient or the client profile. Next, we're just going to take a look at the billing section. And so we already take a look at invoices that you created from the calendar, but these are all the invoices within Noterro. You can filter it by date range. You can add an invoice from here. This is what I was saying, is that you don't have to create an invoice from the calendar, but it's much easier if you do create it from the calendar. You can click on these buttons here and add invoice here, or you can add it from here, or you can add it from the profile. It just there's a few more steps in adding an invoice when you're doing outside of the calendar. And so at a top level, we take a look at the invoices. We track all the package and memberships. So for example, if I do have package and memberships, I can take a look at all the memberships or packages that people have and the remaining usage that they have, memberships as well. This section is all based on insurance. So it's a pretty big feature within Noterro, where, as I said, it is tracking claims from start to finish, or that life cycle of a claim that it's tracking. And so this is what this section is here. And then last we have reports. And then with reports, we have quite a few reports. We do have 2 customizable reports. So these are all pre-created reports within Noterro. An events report is a report that you can customize, and this is data that you can pull from the calendar. Likewise, we also have a customizable sales report. And sales report is the same thing. There's all kinds of filters that you can customize, and you can see that I have a lot of versions of my own report. We also have Noterro versions that you can click on, or you can create your own, and there's quite a bit of data again that you can configure yourself. Okay, and then so that's the platform in terms of some of the things that it can do. In terms of completing this tour, in terms of looking at the Noterro as a platform, I mean, we do have a robust help section as well, and it's broken up into, there's that checklist, and then we have AI built in here, so Ask Lucy, so it'll give you a very quick response. We have chat, we have support, help articles and tutorials, and then we have all kinds of support to either to book a setup call or an audit to make sure you've set up your clinic appropriately. You can book a migration call or book one-on-one support. So this is a pretty important section. I'm highlighting it so you don't miss it, and that's in the help section. These are in-app notifications, and this is where you'd go to set up your clinic. Again, I'm not going to go through this, but this is all the setup of the clinic itself. And then this last icon, or sorry, this last image here of the user is who you're logged in as, and this is, I'm logged in as Nick Noterro. This is the clinic that he's associated with. If his account was associated with a number of clinics, I can hit switch. Likewise, I can also click on switch and I can change the role. So I'm also a practitioner in here, an assistant, and a client. So I can change my role within the clinic itself. So when you are setting up your account, you may be both the admin and practitioner, and this is how you would toggle between your accounts. So that's an overview of Noterro. There's a lot that it can do. So as I mentioned before, if you take a look at this clinic setup section, we do have a web portal and app. We do have customizable templates in here. And so if you take a look at here, it'll expose some of the other features. I'm not going to go through the settings, but within here, you can see that you can customize any agreements. These are things that you would want them to agree to. Customizable forms, as I mentioned before, forms are something you're going to be sending out to clients or patients. Clinical notes, again, customizable notes that you want to use within here. We have package and memberships, and these are all the notifications. So this is the page that that you will be spending some time on, because all these forms that you send out and anything that's being sent out to a client or patient, it looks like it's coming from you because it's branded for what you need. And so within here as well, I mentioned insurance. So there is a big insurance section as well within Noterro. So we do have insurance mentioned many times. And then the last is the web portal, which is a bit unique. I'm not going to go through the settings, but what I will emphasize here, what you do is you get what's called the subdomain of Noterro. So in this clinic, it's called Complete Care Physiotherapy Services, and I've just abbreviated to complete.noterro.com because I want something simple for people to remember. And you get a QR code once you enable the portal, and then you just turn on the features that you want, and then there's some customization. But what's really interesting is that we have this what's called clinic branded app. And so you can put a logo here. We recommend obviously something not too complicated, because again, if you think of the logos on your phone, they're fairly simplistic, and it has to be something that's identifiable to your brand, because it's going to live on the devices that they're using. This is the app long name, and this is the short name. And so this icon and this short name would appear on their phone as what this little animation is showing you. And then there's some customization in terms of how you want to set up the application. So we are going to take a look at the application and how that works. So let me switch over to a a mobile view, and we'll see how that interacts with Noterro, or so how the client or the patient interaction would be. So let's take a look at that now. So on my phone, you can see that I have Complete, and I have the icon. So the name of the clinic was Complete Care Physiotherapy Services, if you recall, and I've abbreviated to Complete. So there's the icon that I was using, and so this will appear on someone's device, and so I'll click through it. And you can see I have it set up as book by service or book by practitioner. You can also add book by location. In this case, I just turn that off because it is configurable. So if you were a single prac, you might only use book by service, because it's kind of redundant to have book by prac, because they'd have to click on book by prac and then select the services. So let's take a look at some of the features for the web portal here. And it all depends on what features you have turned on in the application. So if I click on the menu here, you can see that I have appointments, forms, clinical notes, wait lists, billing, help center. So I have all these features turned on. Let's take a look at the account itself. And so if I click on my account, I can see that I have a number of people that I can book for. And so if you are, say, a mother or father, and you're booking for other family members, you can list all the family members that you want to book for, or you want to manage, say, their billing or their notes or their wait list. So you have that ability. So right now, Nick Noterro's logged in, and I'm managing it for Lionel Richie, and I can also view my accounts where I can do things like update my password or change my email. So we'll go back to that menu, and so let's click on the menu again. and I'll take a look at the dashboard, and the dashboard is indicating that I have 20 forms. So Lionel's been sent 20 forms and he hasn't completed it, so you can complete forms in here. So as an example, I can hit complete now and the form will load and I can complete the form. So again, let's go back to the menu. We'll take a look at appointments, and from the appointment view, these are all the past appointments. So if I went to appointment that was in the past, I can click through the appointment and I can click rebook if I wanted to book another appointment of that type. I can take a look at the upcoming appointments, and if the practitioner allows for cancellations, I can cancel that appointment. I can turn off the notifications, and so there's some things that they can also do from the upcoming appointments. Go back to the menu, the forms we already looked at, the clinical notes. So clinical notes are forms are notes that you would explicitly you would have shared with them within the portal. So you don't have, by turning on the feature doesn't mean that they get all the notes. It just means the notes that you want to share, and you can unshare them as well. So once they've downloaded them, you can take them off if you want to. Waitlists, so similar to the waitlist that we went through, they can join a waitlist themselves if they want to, if you have that feature enabled. So I can click on waitlist, I'd select the practitioner, locations, and make a few other selections, and I can join a waitlist by just saying save waitlist. We'll just go through this. There's a help section. This is important to turn on because it'll save a lot of questions for you, because they have a help section specific for patients or clients. And then the billing section, and it shows, it shows basically all their invoices. So if they want to print a receipt, so if they've lost that receipt, they can come here and download that and print it themselves, or they can make a payment as well. So I have a credit card on file and I can pay this invoice off. So there's a lot you can do on the portal, and it depends on the features that you want to enable. So those are the features that we have in Noterro at a quick view. Some of the things that I was showing you, such as insurance or notes, we do have more detailed videos. There's just not enough time to go through the information in this video. So if you do want to take a look at some of our other videos, we do have a lot of the videos exposing all of our features. As well, if you do ever need help, you can always just let us know, and you can reach out to us and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions. So thank you for watching, and make sure you click sign up for your free 30-day trial.